All right. Good evening, everybody. Let's do a brief sound and visual check. How's everybody doing? Starting out looking like a pumpkin. I can see that. I did adjust some settings on my camera, so we'll see how it goes tonight. This is a live test. Great. Good. How was your trading day? I took 0 trades today. So 0 trades today for me on a Thursday. Halloween is over? Yes, it is. Gold. Take a look at gold. Yeah, I'll go over gold tonight. I will. Very bad today in fast markets. Same here. Took a break. Sometimes it's good. If the market just is not showing any setups, and if you're not seeing anything in the markets, then there's no sense to trade, right? Like trading is optional, and 9 times out of 10, it's best that if you're just not feeling it, if the market's not, moving the direct, like in a, what do I want to say, the conditions that you want the markets to do, then don't trade. Just don't trade. That's usually the best answer. Anyway, that being said, let's just get to it. Welcome to Slow Markets, everybody. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA, and as always, in the YouTube chat, there is the Top Step risk disclosure. Read it, understand it. Everything we go each night is for educational purposes only. But let's get started. I'm going to jump. I haven't talked about crude oil or gold very much. And as I do that, if there's any trades that set up, just shout them out in the chat. I do see, I have been watching the Nikkei. The Nikkei for a little bit. Here's the daily chart on the Nikkei. So I want to talk about this first. Let's talk about the Nikkei first. And this is a daily chart. Take a look at this. This is something that I didn't point out yesterday. I mean, this is pretty clear and straightforward. Maybe we're going to be forming some type of a flagging pattern here on the Nikkei. It's a Japanese market. And this is the daily chart. So I wouldn't be surprised if we... maybe do we have a chance to come back down to 38,000 in this bottom zone? I don't know. This is a key level of support. This is where we were at earlier this week, a few days ago, and it ended up being a great buying opportunity. I'm curious to see how it turns out tonight, to see if there is a buying opportunity here on the Nikkei, or if we're going to drop back down. If we do start to drop down, then yes, I am going to be targeting this lower level here in the Nikkei. Moving on, let's take a look at the Nasdaq, but here we go. Let's take a look at gold. I have gold. So this is gold. I haven't talked about gold for a while, but maybe there is a trade to be had. This is the daily chart, and take a look at this. We sold off, and over the past few days, week or so, we've been kind of consolidating back and forth between 26, almost 2,700, and all the way down to 2640s. And the question is gold going to finally break out of this consolidation, whether we break down and go down to test maybe this low, maybe these lows that we were looking at? This is the daily chart. If we do break down, that there is a decent possibility that we come down and see 2,600. But we are testing the lower end of this consolidation. The other option, right, if you're like Dobie, a range trader, maybe we are looking for buying opportunities down here and looking for this market to return back to the top of the range and just saying, yeah, I'm still bullish. I'm still looking for this support resistance zone to hold. And if we do reverse, maybe we go right back up to 2670s, 2680s in that zone. So it's not a clear breakout to me. We have yet to hold below that 2640 level, but we did test it. We did break. I think the low was 2636, but the key for me is going to be holding below it. And it looks like we've done it the past hour. Maybe if we start to zoom in, we can kind of see some of this where something like this. Maybe we'll look for us to test these lows, maybe 2630 as a possibility, and looking for that continuation down. Looks like we did try to find some buyers and just completely failed tonight. This is going to be an interesting market to watch right at 8 p.m. Central. So in about 23 minutes, we typically see some type of spike in volatility, and I'll be watching gold. Next, let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil kind of similar to gold, where we had that sell-off. This has been, if you joined me yesterday with Coach Jay, I mean, crude oil has been kind of just hovering in a very similar sense, kind of up and down and around 69 to 68, the low 68, 69s to 68s in this $1 range, $1.50 range almost. And yeah, as of tonight, we're testing these lows. If we can, maybe, break through these lows, continue down, then I've been eyeballing, seeing if we could, come down and touch $69 a barrel. And some of these bigger, like further out lows from basically earlier this year, maybe $64 a barrel could be in play if we do see some momentum down, come down, first test these lows. If we could break through that 64, 63.50, but still pretty bearish. We're kind of in this flagging pattern we was talking about yesterday where, I mean, man, which way do we go? Or right, for the bulls who like to buy crude or think crude's going up, maybe the opposite. Maybe this could be some buying opportunity, and we look for crude to come up and test the upper end of this, flagging pattern, this consolidation, this wedge. And I don't know. I'm still mixed about crude oil to where I don't want to place a trade until we start to pick a clear direction. Maybe we start to find a reversal and maybe we start to reverse. Then maybe there's an argument to look for longs up there. Or if we do start to just break down and break below 68 and we start finding some momentum, then there could be some opportunity to short. But still, it's hard for me to short markets. It's just me, my personal preference. And I mean, 67 is not that far away. If we do start to break down, then there's not going to be too much room left for me to target. Maybe looking to target 64. I don't know. I just want to see movement. I want to see price action. I want to see tradable moves here in crude oil and in gold. Let's take a look. See. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, moving back to Nasdaq. Nasdaq's my market of choice. Nasdaq's the one that I love to trade. You guys see I trade it during the New York session. No trades today, but here's a daily chart on the Nasdaq. I remember last night I was talking to Coach Jay and we were just saying, well, how much do we move when we do move from top to bottom on these pivots? And the answer was like, well, let's measure. We're at all-time highs. We're holding above all-time highs. Like, do we have a lot of room to go? Maybe, depending on what kind of a market condition we are in. There's some high volatile times. Back here in beginning of August, end of July through basically September, it was a crazy summer. But maybe we look at, I don't know. This is just a tough market to trade, to be honest, where we can sit here and we could guess and we could say, well, how far does this market go, and continue to try and measure these moves from the past and say, here's how far we could go. But honestly, I find that a little bit tough when we try and look left and there's no data, there's no technicals to go off of. And I think it's more of just being patient, waiting. I was perfectly fine not taking any trades today for this exact reason. Let's just wait till the market gives us better market conditions to trade. In terms of location, I know there's a lot of traders waiting for a pullback. Like, we're hitting all-time highs. How do you trade all-time highs? The market just keeps going up. You want to buy it, but then it seems like it's a little too high. And then maybe something like tonight where we got that nice sell-off. We got this nice pullback. And we got that pullback to these 2120s that Hoag was calling out during Power Hour. And I was looking for maybe something around this support and resistance zone, which was the 21,450s. This is an hourly chart, and it looks like tonight we just got a 3-bar reversal over the past 1 hour. And if anybody's wanting to know what that 3-bar reversal is, I mean, take a look at this. Here's that main reversal candle, right? This is a nice, what do we want to call it? Hammer, pin bar, whatever. This is the main reversal candle. And now that we started to cross above that, you can see there's 2 hours worth of reference, and we're starting to cross above it. So there could be a decent opportunity for this market to continue. Maybe we can continue to come up and test this support level, right? This is a major support. throughout the past few days. And so if we do rally and continue, maybe we could tonight, maybe we could see these 21,490s come into play. Let me take a look at the 5-minute chart. Let's see here. Yeah, you could see 3-bar reversal looked good on the hourly, but you could see what it looks like on the 5-minute, right? There's nice resistance. We had a nice clear break. And yeah, you can see that there could be an opportunity for this market to move up there. But then again, this price action that we've seen today during the New York session kind of made a mess of things. And I say a mess of things, I mean, take a look at this, right? Where it's relatively hard to pinpoint, clean support and resistance, because like, what are we looking at? Where can we go? Are we at a level of support and resistance now? Are we going to break through this and get to the next one? Where is the next one? Is it here? Is it there? So it's pretty choppy, and it's really rough to trade, and that's why I've really taken 0 trades. We do have major news tomorrow, right? So if we're waiting for something, we have the big news of the week, which is going to be unemployment rates. We have non-farm payrolls. This is the big one. And so I could definitely see some volatility tomorrow. I will be on fast markets tomorrow morning. That's going to be a good one. We do have some Fed speakers coming out in the morning as well. So we can see possibly some volatility in these markets and some nice, more clean price action. I'm to be honest, I'm not really inclined to trade tonight. I'm not really inclined to trade at all until we get better price action. And that being said, the Nikkei is the one that's been kind of the market that's been moving. And so here we are on the Nikkei again. Let's take a look at the 1-hour chart. And remember what I was saying on the daily? I feel like I'm bouncing around everywhere, but I haven't seen anything great in any of these markets. So let's take a look at the Nikkei again and just kind of refresh what we were doing, what we was looking at. So here's the Nikkei. We're seeing this nice resistance. And the question was, were we going to come down and test this? And then this is a key level of support where we're basically right here, right now. This could be a good decision zone. People who are looking for a continuation down could find opportunities to short. People who are looking for opportunities to buy could find a nice area to buy it. And excuse me. If we look at the hourly chart, I mean, you can see it's pretty bearish. It's pretty bearish. We've broken through pretty much any support that we were kind of holding in terms of trend lines, or however you want to measure this. I don't know. I mean, it's a zone, right? However you want to measure support. We broke through. We tried to break out and have a continuation back up. We failed. We're breaking down. We're at that level. If we zoomed out, this is that level I've been talking about for over a week. This was the buying opportunity. It was basically right here, right? This was that buying opportunity right here. When was this? Tuesday, Wednesday? I was getting in long on the Nikkei. That was my $11,000 on that one trade. So it was a bigger trade, and we're right there again. Is this going to become support? I don't know. It looks pretty heavy. I feel like this is now more. The market that we're seeing now, comparing this when I took the trade to this where we're at now. This feels like more of like a falling knife, right? So this is where I can say this seems like this. It just feels like a falling knife where the market's selling off. We broke through, some trend line support. You can technically say there's support here. So sure, there's a buying opportunity, but not as big as one. When we were first testing this, when we had higher lows, right? Higher low, possibility of a higher low. Now it's the opposite, where we're actually making lower highs and we're making, strong lower lows. And so this is a bit of a different scenario. It's still a sell-off. We're at a level that there could be a possible, buying opportunity at a level of support and resistance. But I'm a little more hesitant now just because of that. Just because we broke through this level of, support and resistance. And so this is more of a falling knife type of a market than what we were before, where you can argue and say this was a pullback, right? We had this nice rally up, and then you could argue that this was a pullback. Here, you can't really argue that. It's a lot harder to argue this as being just a pullback here in the Nikkei. But I'm going to watch it. I'm going to continue to watch it. And if there is an opportunity, I might take a trade. I might. And if I do, it's not going to be a big position, and it's simply going to be, there's levels of support and resistance here. And if I do measure this to see tonight from the high to the low, it's about 1% on the Nikkei, 1%. And then even if we measure from the high point of yesterday, we are about 1 3/4. So we could easily move and see a continuation down further. Anyone watching gold? Gold's selling off. We could look at the 5-minute chart. We are seeing movement. I was looking for more movement in the next 12 minutes. So maybe we could see some consolidation or pullback. This is a 5-minute chart. This is pretty interesting, actually. Levels of support right there. Right? Support, and once again, some more support. We broke through it, and now that support is becoming resistance, right? Old support becoming resistance. So that can be a pretty bearish signal where support's becoming resistance. Never try and catch a hot potato. Not blindly anyway, right? I've had my fair shares of trying to I wouldn't say trying to catch a falling knife or a hot potato, but more of buying at areas of support. Like, to me, if I'm going to buy this market when it's selling off like this, I'm going to buy it at an area of support where I could limit risk, where if I can just extend this and say, if we get a reversal where we reversed before, then this will give me an opportunity to, let's see, if I change that to whites, let's say I get in at this level on some type of a reversal, right? 3-bar reversal. You guys hear that a lot. Maybe consolidation and then the breakout. Maybe something similar like a double bottom. This gives me the opportunity to limit risk and have a relatively tight stop loss, looking for a decent risk reward. So that, to me, it's not exactly like catching a falling knife. This is, as long as I'm waiting for some type of confirmation, some type of reversal at a level of support, that's a little bit better. However, if we do start to break, and I don't have any reason to enter into the market long, then it's just completely irrational. Maybe a better trade is going to wait to see if we can break through this level of support that we've shown. And if we do get to like 38,900s, maybe there's an opportunity to buy it and have this become support again, because there's a major price action down there. But it looks pretty heavy. I'd be even hesitant to sell it, even though that's one of the harder trades, right? Is to sell it after we've already sold far off. But sometimes that's a higher probability trade, where if you can sell it here and the odds are for this market to break and continue are a little bit higher than for it to reverse, right? Continuations are more probable than reversals. But I'm going to watch it. Shout out anybody if you guys see this thing move. If it breaks down or reverses, let me know. Actually, let's do this. The famous, we can have 2 charts for a reason, right? Why not? I'll keep an eye on the Nikkei. I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin. We failed to hold above 100,000 last night. Coach Jay and I was having a little bit of a celebration watching Bitcoin break through 100,000, and now it broke through. You guys remember that? This was that move last night, and that break of 100,000. What was great. It was fun to watch. Some say it was historic. Everyone was anticipating it. It was one of the most. I don't know if it was the most, but it's up there for an asset class. What people are classifying it as an asset or a tradable instrument that is reaching a big milestone. But here we are, and the reason why there's a gap is because there's the futures markets are closed for 1 hour between, what is it, 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Central. Yeah, 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Central. And Bitcoin doesn't close, and it looks like we had that nice. I don't call it a gap on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is still active during this time. But yeah, this has been quite the sell off here on Bitcoin. But this is kind of typical, right? If we look at the hourly chart on Bitcoin, we had one before when we first touched 100,000 in the futures market, and if we measure that, we sold off about 9%. Like, that's a 9% move. And now we measure this again, and we've sold off about almost 9%. So these 9% sell-offs are, dare I say, normal pullbacks. 8 to 9% on Bitcoin are normal pullbacks. I don't know. Is that fair to say? That was awesome to see last night. Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. Let's get to some questions. I'm gonna be watching these different markets. We could switch back, watch gold for a minute. Maybe I could take a small demo trade, example trade for conversation and educational purposes. If I see something set up good in my live account, of course I'm going to take it. We could have that conversation on Bitcoin. Remember, I'm relatively new to the cryptocurrency world. So don't judge me. Don't judge me on being new to crypto. But let's get to some questions. N Street, what about natural gas? So I don't trade natural gas. Now, the same technicals can play against any market. It's very diverse technical analysis, right? Any market technical analysis. I don't look at natural gas. I haven't traded natural gas, so it's not fair for me to say anything on natural gas. And I already spread my time amongst Nasdaq, crude oil, Nikkei, Bitcoin, gold, and I'm slowly getting interested in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And so any attention that I'm going to be having on newer markets for myself is going to be limited. So I'm going to trade the markets that I know, or at least that I am getting used to. Coach Jay is amazing with natural gas. I believe that him and some of the other coaches do and have traded natural gas as well. Nat gas is not called the Widowmaker for nothing. Just staying away from it. But yeah, it could definitely have great opportunities. Any markets that move has good opportunities. Dakota, why do markets like the Nikkei react as strongly as the U.S. markets do on U.S.-specific news, like the jobs report tomorrow? So I'm not an economist. I can't give you the exact reason why markets move when they move. I do know that U.S. is the most, if not one of the biggest economies when it comes to like the financial systems. And typically, it's not all the time. Nothing's 100% correlated when you're comparing the Nikkei to the U.S. markets. But if the U.S. markets go up, typically you'll see markets around the world as well go up, depending on the individual situations. I don't look at correlation, but that's typically what I have seen, if that makes sense. It doesn't make it true, though. Bitcoin futures close for 1 hour. Yes, that's why there's a gap right here. The futures market closes for 1 hour, but the spot market does not close. So if you pull up the spot market, let's see. If you pull up the spot market, they're not closed for an hour. It's not closed, right? Or am I wrong? I don't believe it's closed. But there was quite the drop off right there. That was one heck of a sell-off on the spot market. Dakota, how do you read the market like you do? What should I look for? Basic technical analysis. basic technical analysis. Anything that I do it every single night. It's the same thing over and over again, and it's very repeatable on almost any time frame. I say almost any time frame. There's some that I don't look at some time frames, and it's just because I pay attention to the daily, the 1 hour, the 5 minutes, and then the 100 tick. Sometimes I'll look at the 1 minute, just depending on how the market is and what market condition is. But it's all the same data. It's just displayed to you in different ways. There's nothing good to trade right now. So far, no. We're watching the Nikkei sell off. If we take a look at this on the Nikkei, and we're close. We're close to breaking this area of support. So yeah, remember what I was saying is, the harder trade is to sell and sell this for a breakdown and a continuation lower. It's hard to do that, but it's proving to be correct, right? The more probable trade, the one with a higher win percentage, is a continuation, which what we're seeing now. We're getting a continuation to the downside. The more unlikely, but typically has higher risk rewards, are taking longs in a situation like this. This has a higher risk reward, but the probability of it actually working is a lot less likely. What is an example of, quote, technical analysis? So technical analysis can be very general, right? Everything you see me do and talking about these markets can be defined as technical analysis, right? Me saying that here's a pivot from December 3rd, and this is an area of support, meaning buyers were buying it right here and held this market up, and what caused the market to go higher. That in and of itself, I call that technical analysis. Now, the fact that we are here again, the price is here at the same level right now, right here, right now, can say that, hey, there's a chance that this market might turn around and go higher again because buyers were interested at this price. Buyers can very well be interested at this price again. And so for me to say that, hey, there could be a buying opportunity in this zone to where I could get in long and then have my stop loss below this zone, it is what I call technical analysis. Now, there's so many different forms of technical analysis, right? There's patterns. There's pattern recognition on candlesticks. There's higher highs, lower highs. There's lower lows. There's channels. There's there's so many. I don't have my trading mug here, but the list goes on and on and on. The best advice I could give you when it comes to learning technical analysis is you could probably use Google and find a ton of information out there. I will always say keep it as simple as possible. The more simple you can make your technical analysis, the more simple you can make your trading, the easier it is. We had, I believe his name was Jake, right before Power Hour today on Fast Markets. And I joined during Power Hour, and it was the same thing. It's just, guess what? Everybody could do a really good job analyzing the markets, right? It's not too hard to analyze the markets. The hardest part of trading is the psychological side, the trade management side, and that's basically it, right? Psychological, trade management, risk management also. So those is what makes trading really hard. Not the analysis. The analysis could be, less hard or relatively easy because it's simple, it's straightforward, and it could be black and white. Blazing Jake, buy dip or sell off? What's your thoughts? I don't know. Music is life. Both. You buy the dip after the sell-off. Let's take a look. Gold's not moving. Let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil is starting to... Crude is continuing to sell off here. Crude is looking pretty heavy. We're testing these lows. Can we break through and see $66 a barrel tomorrow? 67? Are we going to see $67 a barrel tomorrow? Possibly. I wouldn't be surprised. Bitcoin has kind of slowed down a little bit. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq. So, okay, here's a basic technical analysis, okay? It doesn't matter whether this is a 5-minute chart, 1-minute chart. You guys seen Coach Jay and I, we were trading on a very small time frame when Bitcoin was breaking through 100,000. We jumped in. I was trading on 100 tick. I think Coach was on a 1 minute or something. And this is technical analysis. Here's can be argued as a level of resistance because we've bounced and sold off that. Maybe you could even make an argument to say that this is a flagging pattern, equal highs and higher lows. And once we break out, a lot of times when we break out, we come back and we test, and what was resistance can very well become support. And then you would kind of look for this market to continue higher. Now, it doesn't always happen. That's, the beautiful thing and yet the curse of trading is, patterns repeat themselves, but they don't repeat themselves 100% of the time. Where, is this going to break out? It's like, you know what? It looks like it. I've seen this pattern form a lot of times. There's an opportunity there where you could understand probabilities and understand risk management where you could say, okay, I'm going to get in right here, right now, for example. Say I get in right now. And this allows me to put my stop loss, say, right there for a good risk reward and say that's my stop loss, right? My entry would be 21,463. My stop loss, 21,453. I'd be risking about 10, 11 points. And I'm going to look for this market to continue up because now I'm looking for this to become support. I'm looking for this market to now break this high that it just made. And then I'm going to see if we could go to the next high, which is going to be possibly either right there or more what I would look like and look at is going to be for these 490s. 490s is what I'd like to see. Now, not only that, there's a lot of other things that you need to consider when trading. You need to consider the different time frames. I always like to consider like an hourly chart. How's the hourly chart looking? Well, we just got a nice 3-bar reversal and it's starting to look, relatively bullish. So that's good, right? Check mark. And then maybe you could even look at a daily chart, which I tend to do, and say, oh, wow, okay, we're in a very strong bullish market and, we had a little bit of a pullback. And the fact that we're just been making all-time highs and this is so bullish, you can argue that if we do get a decent opportunity to buy it and see a little bit of a bullish move, that's fair to say. There's could be a reasonable opportunity to buy. So now this isn't, I'm not going to trade this, but this is purely just an example of some things I look at on top of, now hear me out, on top of understanding, guess what? Tomorrow is Friday. We're now in Friday's trading session, and there's big news coming out. So this could also affect the markets, and having all these things at one time can help you come to an informed decision, understanding what your risks are, understanding the probabilities of the trade, and understanding your win percentage and your risk reward, and combine all of that for a simple click of the button. So all of that combined will boil down to the final decision to click on buy or sell and determine how you manage that trade. So there's a lot of that. Bro, how do we get to Friday already? Time goes by fast, right? This is Friday's trading session. The week's already over. Time goes by fast. Wow, this was so much better than just saying, oh, I'm going to get into a practice account and take a trade that I normally wouldn't take on my live account. Yeah, I mean, this is, and I tell everybody here, this is slow markets, everybody. It's a little informal. I answer questions, and who knows where this conversation might lead. My goal is always to help traders. Sometimes it is like, hey, let's take a trade and I'll show you how I would manage it, right? Because sometimes that's what I feel like doing, and that's what can be a good example of like, oh, how would you manage a trade if you're in it? Well, this could be a decent example. Like I could jump into a demo account and say, if I was short right now, this is how I would manage it. Or if I was long right now, this is how I would manage it. And so sometimes, just like a college professor or a teacher would do something on the whiteboard, I'm okay with doing that. Like, hey, let's get into a demo account trade and let me show you how I look at things, and let me show you how I would move my stop loss, put my take profit, and do those things. Where just like a teacher's doing a math problem on the whiteboard. Now, I know it's not exactly the same, but that's kind of how I picture it, because some people are visual learners, and some people learn differently than others. So we always have a big audience. Not only is it a big audience, I do know we have traders from around the world, and some traders might not be able to watch it live. So watching it on replay is their only option. And I don't know what questions they have. I don't know how they learn. But being able to show both, I think, is the right thing to do. And the camera is not turning purple, or I'm not turning orange as much as last night, so I must have done something. Put my money where my mouth is and trade live. Well, if you tune in Topstep TV more often, you'll see it. You'll see it, man. You'll see all the fun stuff. I tell you, real trading, live trading, is more patience than trading. Like that is trading. Okay, Chino. I'm not gonna mute you for that, but no inappropriate language, regardless of whether it's English or Spanish or Portuguese. I know all the English and Spanish cuss words. I know a little bit of Portuguese cuss words. None of that. Coach Hoop's in the chat. Yeah, we're not seeing anything. I was thinking that maybe Nikkei could have a nice flush and maybe an opportunity to trade. I'll keep bouncing around. We'll watch. Gold's not seeing anything. I'm going to zoom into a 1 minute chart. Let's see. It's past 8 p.m. Central. Gold has not moved anywhere. Restricted PG13. Quite the sell-off on the Nikkei. Yeah, we've been watching it. The Nikkei's over here on the right-hand side, and it's not a major sell-off. It's not crazy. It's not too big of a sell-off. I mean, it's decent. We've had bigger, yeah, in terms of price action. For your camera, try turning off auto exposure. I played around with my camera, and yeah, I'm not as orange as I was last night. Last night, it kept making me extremely orange. I'm going to read through the chat. We'll get to a few more questions. This new lockout system has really helped become more disciplined. Not going to lie. You know what? I love the lockout system so much. And to be honest, I mean, everybody's going to have their own opinion, but the amount of traders that this has saved from over trading, from trading when they shouldn't, from trading when they're emotional, and like it's just pure amazing. Now, you don't have to use this, right, to be able to lock yourself out, but sometimes it's needed. It really is. If you don't, and everyone needs to understand, prop firms are absolutely amazing for new traders if taken advantage of and utilized correctly, right? You could say any too much of anything. I mean, people love to abuse and turn something good. And I mean, people are very, very good at self-sabotaging, right? So things like this can be useful. I know traders in the Discord, and I know traders in the YouTube chat, and I could see some of you use this every day. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm struggling mentally. I'm struggling from the psychological side. So I'm going to use this tool that's available to me to lock myself out because I'm struggling on that. And that's okay. New traders who maybe this is their first month of trading ever. Maybe that's a trader that's 9-10 years worth of experience that is still struggling with this lockout or struggling with their emotions. Can you utilize a feature like that? It's better to have it and not need it rather than need it and not have it. Gold trying to rally? It's trying to, Hoop. That's not much of a movement, but it's actually a little bit, right? That's not too bad of a movement. That's 0.25%. Yeah, that's not too bad of a movement here on the 1 minute chart. What I'm going to be watching, this is what I'm going to watch on gold. I'm going to do something like this to see if we can hold this higher lows, right? Where this is a low, this is a higher low. Now this is a high, right? And now this is what I like to do. I like to see what this price action is going to do in terms of, we've seen it on the hourly chart. We've seen it trying to break down and trying to gain some bearish momentum to see if, are we going to continue down towards 2,600? I don't know. But if we are going to go down to 2,600 and sell off in gold, we need to start somewhere. So whenever there is price action where we've seen today, we had this nice sell-off. We're down at the bottom end of this range and this consolidation we've been in for 1 or 2 weeks. And now we're seeing another sell-off tonight. And if we're going to get there, we have to start somewhere. And so this is where I see this nice price action. And the question is, where do we go from here? Are we going to see a continuation down? And if there's an opportunity, where is it at? So I like to do this. This is technical analysis. If traders are wondering, how I trade or technical analysis. So I'm going to be looking for a few things. I'm going to look for this market to break a trend line, right? Like if we start to break this trend line, then, easily we could argue and say, hey, the market's going to continue and having a higher probability of continuing lower. And then some type of flagging pattern. Are we going to see a pattern like this, where this market just creates a flagging pattern and a lower high, which maybe it just did? Or maybe we get more data, and as data comes, we create something like this, and then we have a flagging pattern, like that, right? Maybe something like this. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of patterns that can happen, but this is the start of it. And we could watch this tonight and during class to see what's going to happen in gold, with how is it going to move, which direction it's going to be. But we are seeing some movement in gold, to be honest. Nikkei. Yeah, Nikkei just broke through. We broke through that support. We broke through. Next one I see is going to be right here around 38,900s, 38,900s. So there is room to the downside. I don't know if this is going to be support right here, right around. It's a big round number, but you can see this big round number has not acted as major support and resistance. This 39,000. A little bit. Let me put 39,000. Big round psychological numbers right there. And you can see, we've broke through it, broke back, broke through it again, came down, tested it a little bit, back, forth, back. So it's not meaningless. Big round psychological numbers are important, but it looks like the true support is going to be right here around 38.9, the lower 900s. So I'm going to be surprised if we see more continuation to the downside here in the Nikkei. Let's get some questions. Will you ever watch price action on ES and QQ when trading NQ? I do not. I do not watch price action in other markets and say, this is going up, so therefore I'm going to buy this other market just because this other market's going up. I do not do that. Coach Dakota, what would you recommend someone recommend a new futures trader do to speed up the learning process? Easy, very easy. If you are brand new to futures, my best recommendation to speed up the learning process is going to be focus on their process over profits. Try and trade just 1 or 2 or 3 micros, use micros, and then find ways to simplify it. 99% of the stuff you see online can very well make things overcomplicated. Slow down, like Six says. Yeah, slow down. Start out with small sizing and take your time. Take your time. Very, very simple steps. Like some of the most simplest trading strategies are the most successful. It really is. Your thoughts on the last news on rate cuts and how it affects the markets moving forward? I hope that there's some surprise. I love volatility. As a trader, I absolutely love volatility. So if there's anything in the news or the rate cuts that surprises the markets, I'm all for it. Whether it's a good surprise or a bad surprise, of course I would prefer a good surprise because I'm a bull and I like to buy the markets. But we as traders love volatility. Volatility brings opportunity, and as day traders, it's our job to take advantage of volatility. Try not to second guess your trades. If you trust it, walk with it and let it run. Yes, get used to losses. Be a good loser. Understand that losses are part of the game. All of the screenshots you see on social media, it is just there for clicks and views. When it comes to all the money, I made X amount of dollars today, and that's like every single day, and it's not true trading, right? So block out all the noise. Focus on yourself. It's you against you, not you against another person. Is non-farm payroll political? It shouldn't be, but that doesn't mean everything's political. You can make an argument for. Why do you use a 100-tick chart? I like it. Over here on the Nikkei, look, there's a difference between a 100-tick chart and if I zoom in to, say, a 5-minute chart, look how ugly this data is, right? And this is the Nikkei. It's a low liquidity market. The depth of market is slow. Sometimes the bid and the ask change very rapidly before the price catches up or before orders are filled. And so sometimes it's easier for me to just view the data. It's a lot cleaner sometimes. That's it. What's your favorite strategies? The simplest ones, basic technical analysis, detox. Hey, TopstepTV, there's not just screenshots of sim accounts. We talk about traders. It's tradertainment. There's a level of tradertainment, and never ever going to be advertising follow our trades, right? Can you show your journal? I trade my live account, and as of right now, there is no journal. You guys are gonna laugh. I use TopstepTV recording videos as my journal. I've started ever since I've been on TopstepTV, and knowing it's recorded, having TopstepTV being recorded, it's like I'm recording myself, and I could use that as my journal. But I personally, I don't have a physical journal that I write in. Topstep is great, and Topstep X, where you can go to your statistics and you can journal here, right? You could come in, you could write a journal, add a journal, and that's very, very useful. Whether you journal on this or you journal using something else like Microsoft Word or Excel or even a physical journal, yes, you journal. Whether if it helps you, it really does. Yes, I did journal. I journaled in Microsoft Excel. I don't journal as much as I used to, though. I finger paint journal. Do you swing trade in your personal account? So my personal account is different than what I do for day trading. I want to make sure that is clear. So what I'm doing here on Topstep and in this Topstep live account is day trading. We're day trading, getting in and out, closing positions by the end of day, by the end of the New York session. My personal accounts are just different. I trade options, and some of my options trades go 9 to 12 months on the longer side. So most of them are usually 3 to 6 months. So it's very different. I'm doing this to help traders day trade. This is where I learned. This is a big part of my trading income, not on the day trading account, right? So this isn't my primary income on the Topstep account. I've built up my personal accounts, which is completely different. How did you get into futures trading? By day trading. Which broker do you use for options to hold? I don't really recommend any brokers. There's a few good options brokers. I mean, Tasty Trade is a good options brokers, but I have interactive brokers. There's a few good ones. But this is futures. We're talking futures. We're learning how to trade on futures. And here's the thing. All the analysis that I do in front of you guys is the same analysis I do in my personal accounts too. It's the same thing. It's nice. It's basically hitting two tasks at once, where I do my analysis here during my slow markets. And this is why I love what I do, to be honest, everybody. I could sit here in front of everybody. I enjoy helping the class. I enjoy having great conversations on TopstepTV, hanging out with Hoag and MP and the Topstep crew. And it's allowed me to follow along with what's going on in the markets. I'm able to do my analysis on daily charts. I'm able to follow along with what's going on in the markets that I care about. And that allows me to, number one, not only day trade and trade in an account that I get payouts for, like my live account. It also enables me to keep up to date with what I'm doing in my personal accounts as well. Because if you guys follow me on the Twitter or X, I've been a lot more active. I've really enjoyed it. And that's what I've said. Prop firms should be a main stepping stone into a longer career, right? Because I'm just going to make an assumption right here for everybody in the chat, and you let me know if I'm right or wrong, is that you guys want to get into trading to learn it, and you want to be able to trade for a long time, right? Or am I wrong? Where you want to trade for not just a week or a month, but you're hopefully looking to trade to learn, to get better, and to trade for the years to come. And so you're learning how to do this in a safer environment, like a prop firm, and then be able to receive like payouts and learn and trade and use those payouts to hopefully do something with whatever your goals are outside of trading, like maybe paying off debt, maybe opening up your own brokerage accounts, and then trading that on your own, because that's been the big debate this week that I've seen traders on social media was like, well, why trade a live account? Oh my gosh, I want to make more money. I want to be able to trade and grow my account in a simulated environment and then just take the payout and open up my live account. It's like, well, that's not the goal. The goal is to get to a live account. The goal is to learn how to trade and become a consistent trader, because guess what? Of course, I'd love to open me up a sim account and say, hey, all the money I'm making in a sim account is real, which is it's not, and just continue trading in a sim environment my entire life. I mean, I would, right? Because sim environments get not as great of, or not as unrealistic fills as a live account. Live account, it's the real deal. It's real fills. It's the real market. And if you open up your personal brokerage account, that's a live market. Virtual trading. Yeah, no sim forever. There's no such thing as sim forever if you're going to be making it long term in the markets. How much money do you start with on a live account? Nicholas, it depends, right? Because a simulated account, a combine, is a qualification to get into an XFA, an express funded account. And then you're trading in an express funded account is the next it's your main qualification, right? The profits you make in an XFA, which is a simulated environment and is not real, Topstep pays that out, right? You could receive a payout, which is real live money that you could put in your pocket, and then the profits there can be transferred over to a live account, which is real live money in an account which you trade, and it's basically this. But as I'm speaking, take a look at Nasdaq. So that was a good example here on Nasdaq, where there you go, it played out. I didn't take this trade. Now that it plays out, you always wish you had, because you have the power of hindsight. But that is how I trade, everybody. Like, this example is over and over again. I talk about it. We had that breakout. We had a pullback. We have now a continuation. Now, this continuation is not all the time, right? It doesn't happen every single time. But yeah, it might look ugly. It might not look the same. And there we go. Like, that is as simple as it gets, where I don't know what the example was. It was like along there somewhere, my stop loss below that candle. And then where was the targets? The targets were these were the first ones. And then up here was going to be the second targets. Something like that. Simple, straightforward. That was not rocket science, but by no means. I mean, simple. It's the hard part is executing it. The hard part is being able to hold a trade through this chop, because I'm sure there's a lot of traders that probably got, chopped up. Maybe they're like, this is taking forever. I think it's not going to go. They close it out. They close it out for a loss, or maybe they just close it out for scratch, and it just keeps going up. Like, that was a good trade. I mean, being able to just be able to follow the process and not be too concerned about the smaller fluctuations of market, because the market will fluctuate, and it's really good at getting you in and out of these types of things. Don't be a sore winner. Either my problem is when I win, I think I should have put more on. Yes, exactly. Whenever you are in a profitable trade, you always wish you had a bigger position size. And then vice versa. Whenever you're in a losing trade, you should have had in your mind not as big of a position size. That's typically the case. So that one's good. Now we're seeing the Nikkei. We ran some stops, but now we're starting to see some interesting price action. Now we're starting to reverse a little bit over here on the Nikkei on the right-hand side. So we're starting to find buyers. Let's look at it from a 5-minute chart. I'm liking this price action now. I like this price action. What I want to see now is it's looking good. Yeah, this is a 3-bar reversal. If you're looking at say a 100 tick chart, 3-bar reversal, not yet. You can see this is a main reversal candle. The reversal is going to be a break above that candle. So if I move it to the right, so like right there, you can see this candle right there, a break above it. So right there, it is technically the reversal on this 100 tick chart. And if you change time frames, you can see how it's going to change. It changes depending on what time frame you're looking at. And I like to zoom into a 5-minute, and I like to look at support and resistance. Now, this is an ugly chart, right? It's not like a nice, clean, like Nasdaq with lots of volume and lots of liquidity. This is the Nikkei. It's Asian market. It's slow markets. You're going to see how ugly this chart can be, but the price action and the ideas and concepts are still the same. It doesn't change. It just looks a lot different. And so what I want to see here on the Nikkei is either more consolidation. I want to see more consolidation or more price action. So just like what we've seen, let me show you this. Just like what we've seen here, right? We had a bounce, we had a run of maybe some stop losses, and then we had a breakout. And so that's what I want to see here now is I'd like to see something like that. I would like for either maybe we get a bounce and then we get either a run of stops or something like this. Man, this feels identical to this trade earlier. Yeah, that feels so similar to this on on Tuesday night. They feels very similar, but we'll see. My main concern about this one is if we zoom out, we don't have as strong of a trend. We don't have as strong of a bullish trend. The trend was very bullish going up. It's a lot weaker now. So that's what I was pointing out at the very beginning. This is a lot weaker where we were making higher lows, and now we're not. We made a lower low. And so I'm a little more hesitant. Tomorrow we have big news. It is Friday. So there's a lot more going into consideration in this market now than what it was before. So that there's a lot more consideration. You can see this was major resistance. It broke out and above that major resistance. And look, this major resistance is becoming resistance again right there. And so this is a bullish point in the market where I'm a little more enticed. It's like if there's a check mark process, like on TopstepTV during the day show, this is like, okay, you know what? This is like instead of a setup, B setup, C setup, this is like a D setup. I would classify this, if there's a way to classify trades, which I typically don't, but I would say that, you know what? I'm not too excited. Maybe I could just want to watch and see how it plays out. But this is not something I will put money at risk at right now, even though we could see a nice reversal off of it. Do I watch the DOM for Nikkei? Not all the time. So I have the DOM right there. We could keep the DOM up. Let's do that. I don't mind it. Look at Nasdaq. This Nasdaq played out really well. Right? Nice little breakout. We hit the first zone of take profits. So we would have been able to take profit if we were in two contracts, we would have taken profit for one of them up in this zone. So that was the trade of the night right there. I'm not going to be looking to hold any trades overnight because of the news tomorrow. But maybe we could see a move back up to these 490s as the main take profit on this setup. Yeah, here we go. Pushing the lows here on Nikkei. Let me get this set up. We're just keep this on one chart. We're gonna keep it on one chart for tonight, for the rest of the evening. Yeah, see how it's ugly price action, and you can see the DOM, right? See the DOM, the bids and asks. It changes. This is the last fill price. But then it changes the bid and ask, so it's a little difficult to trade. I don't advise trading on the Nikkei too much until you have a bit more experience. Let's take a look at these other markets. Anything else on these markets doing? Let's see. That's the Nasdaq. We're going to look at crude oil. Crude oil's not really doing much after that push down. Gold is finding buyers. If we're going to look at gold, you can see how gold is still making higher lows, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low, ever since we had that bit of a sell-off. And are we going to see as resistance? Maybe we get some type of a flagging pattern, like we say. Maybe it's going to look more like this. Like this is now a possibility. I don't know if it's going to be that. I mean, it's never pretty. It's very rarely picture perfect or as clean, right? So I don't know. Just looking through patterns, looking at price action, I'm not liking it too much. But yeah, there's the Nikkei and the Nasdaq. We did check the Nasdaq, right? Yeah, we checked the Nasdaq. We checked the Nasdaq a few times tonight. Let's take a look at the Nikkei, and I'm going to watch this. This is so far the only market I've seen possibly an opportunity. I still don't know 100%. We'll watch this while I ask questions. Yeah, we're still pushing the lows. Okay, well, let's get to some questions here before what time? We still have 23 minutes. Let's get to some questions. Give me a second. My throat's been getting dry this week with the weather changing. After how many days trading you can get called up to live? Black Mamba, I think it depends on the risk. It depends. Okay, it depends on the risk managers, right? But I don't know if there's a certain specific amount of days that they look at. I would just say the more consistent you are and the longer you trade, the higher the odds are you're going to get called up to a live. For example, if you've traded for a week versus somebody who's been trading for 2 months in the same account, then yeah, the trader who's been trading for 2 months, you're going to have a higher chance to be called up. Andrew A, fastest I have seen in 2 days. Yes, so there have been some really fast ones. But now remember, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but the risk management team looks at all of accounts, right? They look at everything. Now, before, say throughout earlier this year, you could have a live account and you could have XFAs. And if somebody has a live account and trading combines and then trading XFAs, then the risk manager will look like, okay, well, this person has a live account and they're starting, they now have an XFA and they've had 2 good consistent days in the XFA. We need them in the live account, right? So the risk management team is taking into consideration everything about that trader. And they also have an algorithm that helps them find traders too. So I don't know that algorithm. I don't know those details. But you can have conversations with the risk management team when you get called up. Ali, on the new payout rules of 5K max, is Topstep going through liquidity issues? I could confidently say no. It really is to eliminate gaming and being able to move traders to live accounts. Once again, live accounts is the focus. It always has been, it always will be, and it's being empathized more now than ever. It's to eliminate the gaming. It's going to be eliminating a lot of the crap that people see in simulated environments. Can you be in Now you're just joking, Nasdaq. I would love to be in. Hey, don't get me wrong. If I could just wave a magic wand and say, put me in a live account or in versus a simulated account, and I could still make money, all the same. Oh, I'll take a simulated account all day. Don't get me wrong on that. Give me a simulated account, and for every dollar I make in a simulated account, it goes in my pocket. Versus a live account, I'll take the simulated account all day. Don't get me wrong on that one. I would love it, right? But that's not how the world works. You can't just play the game of Monopoly and buy houses and properties and pass go and collect $200 and then say those $200 is real money and go buy a real house with that. Like, that's not reality. The reality is we're learning how to become successful risk managers, successful money managers, and then be given an opportunity to trade in a live environment and then take payouts and use those payouts to, do things with in your personal life. And hopefully maybe you'll be able to open up your personal account and trade just as successfully. So yeah. Rainmaker, I mean, if I could be in a sim account forever and make money forever throughout the rest of my life, I would do it. Why not? Right? I'll get better fills. I don't have to deal with emotions. If I lose money, it's not real money. If I make money, it is real money. So like it's such a weird thing. It's interesting, and I've talked to traders, and it's just, yeah, I think that's the last thing I'm gonna say about that. Yeah, I could enter, and here's the difference, right? You see this DOM, you see this depth of market where there's 3s, 5s. These are all single digits, and there's the temporary. Every once in a while, there's double digits right there. In a sim account, I could buy 1,000 contracts right here, 1,000 contracts, and I could get whatever price I want in terms of the ask. If I could buy 1,000 contracts, 39,885 in a sim account, and that won't do anything to the market. In a live account, if you try and buy 1,000 contracts, you're going to be pushing this market until 1,000 contracts are filled. And I'm looking at this. 1,000 contracts, look at these 1s and 2s. You might not be getting filled until session highs, right? I could push this market. If I had 1,000 contracts, I could push this market all the way up here, all the way up to 39,635. So I could push this market all by myself, all the way up there in a live account if I had 1,000 contracts. In a sim account, this market would not even move. I would just say, buy market, 1,000 contracts, and it will fill me at 0.95. And then as soon as it goes up 2 ticks, I could sell market, 39,100 and profit, a ton of money. So there's a whole different, it's a whole different environment between a simulated and a live account. Do it while you go long. I don't know. That's part of what I seen as a negative, right? Where if you have a live account and you have a sim account, and you're able to trade them at the same time, there's some sketchy stuff that people are able to do. And I remember, so this is not everybody. There's always algorithms, and there's some crazy stuff in the markets. International. We have traders from around the world, traders from every walks of life. Trading is such a beautiful thing, and people tend to find their ways to game it. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, I made 30K. So yeah, this live account, it's built. The majority of my live account came from doing the exact thing, doing that, right? I've went through the same process everybody's went through. I've started in combines, I traded in XFAs, and I moved that money to a live account. I took out $180,000, and I ended up taking out too much. I went through a drawdown. This was in NinjaTrader 8. Then I transitioned to Topstep X. And while I was transitioning to Topstep X, I ended up losing too much money and had a bad experience. I did lose my live account. I think there was 15,000 in it, and I went through a big drawdown. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to switch to Topstep X. I'm going to start this over again. And then I went through that process again. I started combines on a new platform. I learned a new platform, this one, Topstep X. I got funded through XFAs, and I went through that same thing again. And I started on Topstep X in near the end of August, I believe the end of August is when I started this. I'll have to. Ooh, that's an interesting question. I'll have to see when I actually started in Topstep X. But yeah, now I'm sitting at I think $600,000 year to date. $550,000 year to date. here on these Topstep accounts. I started with one XFA, or no, yeah, I started with one, and then I purchased two more, and then this spring, in the spring, you was only able to have three. Three was the limit when I made my first. I had the account up to 250,000. But yeah, it was there. I had different, and everybody knows who's been here for a while, how I felt about copy trading. I'm like, oh man, who copy trades? And then I was like, okay, you know what? It's not too bad. And I've went through those ups and downs of like, okay, it's copy trading's just BS. I don't believe in it. It's just one account, one live account. But then the more I have been in this prop firm world, because I only started a year ago. I've only started in this prop firm world a year ago. I'm a live trader. Trading is one of my primary incomes. And that's all I've ever done was live trading since I was in junior high and high school was live. I've never understood like any of this. And so copy trading was new and I absolutely hated it. And the more of the conversations I had with traders, I started to understand the logic behind it of saying, okay, you know what, maybe it helps from the psychological side because some traders cannot see, $200 fluctuations and change it to $1,000 fluctuations on a P&L or on a single trade. And that's psychologically hard for a lot of traders to see one trade fluctuate $1,000. And then if they're spreading that out, copy trading, they don't see the $1,000, but they could see $200, and that's a lot easier for them to wrap their head around. It was a lot easier for them psychologically. And I said, you know what? Here it is. I'm going to take advantage of it. I get treated just like everybody else. So I did it. I ran the accounts up. I took $186,000 payout. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I'm switching platforms, lost some of that. And here I did it again. And now the focus has been live accounts. Ellie, what's the biggest day I've ever had on Topstep live? And how many contracts? So 185K, it was a $250,000 live account, and I withdrew 185K. So it's a $250,000 live account that I built, but it starts in XFAs. It did start in XFAs. And then when it was in a live, then I continued to build it to 250,000. I withdrew 185, went through drawdowns, withdrew a little bit more, and then switched to Topstep X and had to do it over again. But my biggest day ever, everybody, you guys might have to go through and see. That's the nice thing I have. Is it's all recorded and I don't have to rely on my memory because everything's recorded and I could just go back through Topstep's YouTube and see my days and my trades if I wanted to. But my biggest day was, when was that? Oh my gosh. I think it was in June. It was in a live account and I think I was short the Nasdaq 30 contracts. I was short the Nasdaq 30 contracts, and it was only a 55-point trade. It was around 40,000. It was my biggest winning day in a live account, which is so abnormal, and I wouldn't expect it. I would say average 5,000, maybe 10,000 is going to be a good day for me. Yeah, that was the single trade. That was a single trade. A day was that was a single trade. Usually it's single trades for me. If you guys have been following me this week, you can see yesterday went technically Thursday's trading day. I only took I took 0 trades. I have 0 trades today. Tonight, I'm not liking the price action. I was maybe thinking that there would be a setup here in the Nikkei. And I'm going to be on TopstepTV tomorrow morning. Sometimes it's 1 trade. Sometimes it's 2. Tuesday night when I made $10,800. You guys seen it. I had the loss, and then I made 11K on the one trade, and then it netted it was like 11.5K because I was down like $500 or $600 during slow markets, and then I ended up the day plus 10.8. So it was around a little over $11,000 trade, but that's just two trades. It's just two trades. So I will always tell traders, process over profits, focus on taking quality trades over quantity trades. So you really only need 1, 2, 3 trades a day, maybe up to like 5, depending on the type of day we have, depending on your strategy, depending on how the market's reacting. But anything over that might be over trading. Now, there are some scalpers who can scalp, and then the frequency increases, right? But whenever I review trader statistics, some of the best trader statistics here at Topstep that I have seen have been 5 or less trades per day, and they're done. That has been it. It helps. It really does, and that's why I was talking so highly about this lockout feature where you can just take a few trades a day, lock yourself out, and that gives you that comfort of hey, I don't have to be looking at my phone, or I don't have to have that feeling that I'm have to be watching the markets all day. I could go and enjoy my life without thinking about the markets, knowing that, hey, I can't even trade, so there's no point of watching the markets. Now, of course, I still trade on my personal accounts. I'm Interactive Brokers does not have that lockout feature, so I'm still trading and looking at options and looking at other things in my personal accounts. But for the Topstep account, I'm trying to only trade that when I'm on air or when I'm able to share it on Twitter or X. Voltron, I have not looked at footprint charts or book maps. I know Rips is an amazing book map trader. Let me look at this. Let's see. We're starting to see this price action now. Well, it's coming. Oh, this is weird. It's coming to the end of class, 6 minutes, and I'm starting to see a setup here. And this is what I was looking for, right, everyone? Where I was looking for something like this. Now, this is on a very smaller. Are we going to get this? Am I going to get it right at the end of class? Similar to last night or Tuesday night. 30 contracts long Nikkei. I was 30 contracts long the Nasdaq. There's no YOLOs in trading. I mean, there shouldn't be anyway. For consistent trading anyway. If you make 10K tonight, I'll invite you to the White House for a tour. Yeah, I'm going to watch this. Now we're starting to set up. This is something I'm liking. This is consolidation here. This is what I want to see, consolidation. Now, nothing's guaranteed. It doesn't mean we're going to break out. All this means is that there's consolidation. And now it could be a decent trade to either direction. If we do break down, I could see us coming down to these lower 38,900s, or possibly returning up here, and maybe we could test up in this zone up near the 39,200. So those are the two areas that I am actually looking for. Let's take a look. Let's see this right down there, right down. So there it is. Those are the two areas I'm going to be looking for here. Now that we consolidated enough, I'm not looking at anything else in terms of, gold. We are pushing up a little bit higher. Crude oil hasn't moved. We come over here and take a look at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq is still pushing. All right, Nasdaq still making bullish movements, right? So that was a decent trade. The trade that when we first started the stream was a decent one. We're almost there to these 90s. I'd like to see, 490s could be a decent opportunity. If we look at the hourly chart, obviously the trend is bullish. Hourly chart still looking really, really good. Take a look at this. This is something I want to, I guess I should probably should be looking at. Take a look at this. This is probably going to play out. Yeah, that was pretty dang good. That was really good. I know Coach Jay would be hollering at me like, hey, look at this. That was an average pullback. 3-bar reversal on the hourly chart. This is one where I would love to be in long, unfortunately. Like that is it. Like that is something I kind of wait for. Like look at this. Like if I was to measure this move, that's as good as it gets. And are we going to see another continuation up tomorrow? So okay, let's see. Prediction everybody. Let's see how this market is going to play out. From a technical perspective, I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. So we have a move, we have a pullback, and sometimes the move. Let's see. I'm curious of how this is going to play out, and then we have another pullback, right? So the pullback is usually about that long, so they're about the same. So if we're going to measure these moves, and it depends on how we want to measure them. This is quite an overextended move. I'd probably see some move like that. But if we're going to measure these, those are pretty accurate. So I like the odds of that being the pullback. I really do. I really like the odds of this being the pullback. Tomorrow, by end of day, I think we have a chance to make another decent sized move to the long side. Yeah. You know what? Let's see it. I'm going to say something like that. I think we could see these 700s tomorrow. I think we're going to see 700s tomorrow. Let's see it. We'll see. Remember, this is not trading advice, but this is technical analysis that I like to do. We will see. There's some big news events that's probably going to affect this or help it out. So let's see if that's going to play out tomorrow. Now, Nikkei, let me jump back over to Nikkei. We'll see. Nasdaq, I'll be referencing tonight. Like, hey, last night during slow markets, that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'll be looking at tonight and tomorrow morning during fast markets. Until then, yeah, this Nikkei trade's not setting up too well. I might watch this while I finish pulling up some of this work that I have to do. And then I don't know. Anybody know the Packers game? Green Bay Packers, what's the score? Is it competitive? Is it worth watching? 17-7. 17-7. Maybe I watch the Green Bay Packers and eat some good dinner. So until then, I will see everybody bright and early tomorrow night. No, tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's Friday. There will not be slow markets tomorrow night. So bright and early tomorrow morning. Take care.